Welcome to SciTech Culture with Steve Kern and Ben Warner, where we examine science, technology and culture in the 21st century. Visit our website at scitechculture.com. Hello and welcome to SciTech Culture. My name is Ben Warner and I'm joined once again by my good friend and colleague Steve Kern. How are we today, Steve? I can see that you're in a structure with solid walls, so am I, but the people that we're going to talk about today apparently don't.
Yeah, but I'm seeing you through some glass and, it's like there's nothing between us.
But glass is such a magnificent material, that and aluminium and whatever else that Apple tends to use. So we're alluding to a story here that, I don't know, depending on your take, is either extremely funny or not, if you're on the receiving end of the injury, I guess.
Or if you're Steve Jobs, he wouldn't find this funny at all.
Absolutely. Probably more from a PR perspective than anything else. So 3 Apple workers were hurt walking into glass walls in first month at their new $5 billion headquarters. So if you don't know, you can Google it. There's plenty of pictures of this thing, the Apple spaceship campus and, wall-to-wall glass all the way around. There was a building inspector that warned them that people would not be able to tell where the door ends and the wall begins. And despite this, at least 3 Apple employees walked or ran into the ultra-transparent glass that was hard enough to require emergency medical treatment during the first month of occupation. Now, I'm just laughing, just reading it, really.
It's funny.
But before we get into it, we mentioned Steve Jobs just before we got on. This is what he said, because he was involved in the initial plans when he was still alive. There's not a straight piece of glass in this building, and that this was a shot at being the best office building in the world because of it. Now,
he's already built the best. He's already built the best staircase in the world.
Yeah, that's right. So, the thing that I find amazing about this is that it goes to an actual, dare I say it, a weakness in Apple's design philosophy, and it's actually borne out, I believe, in previous products that they've released too, which is form over function, where they will prioritize the design, the look, over what it can actually do and the way it's meant to practically work. So an example that sort of leaps straight off the page was the iPhone 4's antenna design. So the phone looked magnificent, just you couldn't hold it in a particular way, otherwise the calls would drop out. And despite apparently them being told at the time that if you do this exterior antenna on a phone, it's going to cause this problem. Now, they ended up solving that problem in subsequent models, but it goes to the point of what Steve Jobs was doing and probably influenced this much larger issue in this huge building, is that he said, I don't care, just make it happen, and because that's the way I like it. And this is the result, you get issues.
Well, that's right. I mean, I guess from a design point of view, though, Steve Jobs really did like to explore new designs. We know that with the marquee Apple stores, the glass staircase that he had specifically designed, and now he's obviously made glass that's ultra transparent from any angle and built a building out of it. So I mean, that's a magnificent achievement, I think, architecturally and probably even in terms of the engineering. But I guess I understand that Steve Jobs wouldn't want any stickers on the doors so we could see where the doors are. And, everyone knows what he was like, but he's been dead for 7 years. I mean, do you think someone there could grow some kahunas and put some stickers on the doors? It's not as if Steve's going to come running out, start screaming at you.
Well, just on that, according to Bloomberg, distracted workers on their iPhones have been walking into glass walls around office spaces, resorting to sticking yellow sticky notes on the glass doors to help. The notes were reportedly removed, however, because they detracted from the building's design, which I believe is what you just alluded to there.
Right. And also in that story, I think they actually say, almost, as if there's been, with an element of defeat, that they actually have put some stickers on some of the doors. I mean, I guess if people walking into the doors while they're on their phones, maybe if they put the stickers down right at ground level where they're not so intrusive, because that's I guess where you're looking when you're on your phone, and maybe that would help. But it is funny. It must be a marvelous building, though.
It's fascinating that I mean, I've had a bit of experience now in accommodation and fit out works, and when it comes to glass and particularly glass doors, there's you know, certain certifications and requirements to put some sort of even if it's very small, some sort of frosting across the glass, even if it's like just a banner at some point where it's easily seen at eye level, so that, you know, you can see that there's a piece of glass there, because obviously glass is, if you're not paying attention, you can do exactly what these people are doing and walk straight into it. And it's just fascinating that, you know, you want to have you got to strike that balance in terms of design in this regard, that, you know, there's I guess the overall work health and safety of the site, and then offsetting that against, you know, you want to make it look fantastic, you know, and, you know, Apple's got the resources to do whatever they want and, you know, make the best building in the world, and again, just coming back to that original point, that this highlights one of their flaws in their approach to things.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know why they can't, you know, stick a microfilm on there with a, you know, nano LED sort of that signals as you walk towards the door, so you just see a couple of points of light, you know, not signs, but a couple of points of light to guide you that are invisible from the other end or the other side, and everyone can get around happily. But it is quite serious. I mean, if you weigh 75 kilograms, which is the average adult weight, 75 kilograms, and you walk into a wall at, you know, 1.5 meters a second, which is only really about bit over 4 Ks an hour, which is normal speed, that's going to hurt. And I'm not surprised people have gone to hospital. It's like getting hit on the head with a hammer or a baseball bat.
Yeah, which is what you want when you go to work every day. I just want to bring this to a just a broader discussion on Apple and its approach to things, and that, you know, they were the underdog company for such a long time that the Steve Jobs approach of you know, going out with a lot of bluster and saying we do better worked better when they were an underdog company. And I think, you know, if you ever look at a lot of the, say, reviews of their products and whatever, I think there's sort of a general consensus that they still make really good stuff, even though, you know, there's some argument about whether they're doing well to scale now compared to what they used to, which was, I guess, sort of at a smaller scale because of the size of the company, etc. But, you know, it's like what you were saying. I think, you know, we were talking about this just before we got on, that they should probably let that part of Steve Jobs go, which is the arrogant bluster that we're the best. Now, if you get to a point where you establish that you clearly are, or, you know, I guess that's all relatively speaking, of course. But if you get to a point where you are, you don't need to say it any further. And I would think that just from a PR and marketing perspective, they do themselves a favor by cutting a lot of that out, because then people probably wouldn't attack them as much for that bluster.
Well, I agree. I think a lot of that bluster, you know, is you know, a little bit of that mythology about Steve Jobs now that's, you know, becomes enlarged in his absence. You know, but the reality is that apart from being a sales company or sales motivated company, I mean, Apple now really is just a design company. You know, they buy componentry, they draw just nice ways of putting it together into a package, and then they outsource that. So, you know, it's not the company it was. And like I say, I agree with you. You know, it might be time just to let a bit of that Steve Jobs bluster go and just put some stickers on the door or something, because, you know, honestly, there's no one else like him at Apple, even though there might be people trying to pretend they are. And it just doesn't work. If you're not him, being arrogant and carrying on like him just doesn't work.
The company's is over 40 years old now, I think. You know, I think like anything, it's like you know, even as individuals, you know, you age, you sort of update your I don't know, behaviors, views, attitudes towards things, how you deal with things. I wouldn't have thought necessarily a big corporation would be any different. It might just be on a longer time scale, perhaps. But, things have to change.
They're not a tech underdog anymore or a tech startup, which they were 20 years ago. They were still battling away. But let's face it, really since 2009, 2010, they've been a behemoth, top of the heap. So, yeah. Anyway,
well,
that wouldn't stop the pain of walking into a wall.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that, as a final note, it must almost gives us a reason to visit Cupertino one day and just see exactly what all the fuss is about.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that trip, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we'll wrap it up there. And don't forget to visit our website, scitechculture.com. You can get all of our links and content there. You can subscribe to our channels, Vimeo, YouTube, and our RSS feed. So you can listen and watch us in a variety of formats, and we hope you enjoy the content. All right, so that's it for this episode. We'll catch you next time.